Chicago's got some cool buildings. I think we can all agree on that. However, cloaked, hiding, lurking among the beauty and the splendor of the brilliant architecture are some less spectacular sights. For example, you can head out to Wicker Park and see the Ascension St. Mary Hospital, which is kind of like looking at a spider. But my opinion is that the opposite of love is not hate. It is instead apathy. People might not like to look at spiders, but we can at least appreciate them. Extremely wild, unconventional buildings aren't boring. But then there are buildings that you walk past every day for 6 months and you don't really notice them, but then you finally do take a look and it's like, ugh. The buildings I have picked out are the architectural equivalent of the mosquito. We'd all like it if they just disappeared. Let's get into the list. First up, we've got 3 First National Plaza, which you probably haven't heard of. It's actually the 22nd tallest in the city, and nobody notices it because it's very dark and dank and hidden behind Chase Tower. Like anything of questionable taste, it was built in the 80s, actually designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, who generally have very good taste. It's got lots of blocks, lots of right angles. It really feels like the only skyscraper you'd see in an otherwise very flat downtown. Next, we'll go with 350 North Orleans. It used to be known as the Chicago Sun-Times building. Nowadays, it's got some upscale luxury branding of Holiday Inn at the top, which is cool. Basically, it feels like whoever wanted this thing built was like, all right, guys, we got a lot of land. We want a big building. We have a limited budget. So give us whatever design, 10 grand will get us. And funny enough, it was also designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill and was finished in the late 70s. But this is definitely the most improved on the list. It used to have a really putrid color and was less hidden by the Wolf Point buildings. This street view from 2007 shows that pretty clearly. Now I'm going to nominate River North slash Gold Coast condo buildings as an entire category. These are a dime a dozen once you get north of the Chicago River. The worst part is that all of these buildings feel sort of interchangeable. If 3 of them just switched places one day, I wouldn't really notice. Big blocky forms, concrete, beige again. These are the sort of buildings that you'd just really rather not look at. If they were truly hideous, they'd be something to talk about, but instead, they're just the architectural equivalent of Lay's original chips. Alrighty, presidential towers. These are close to my heart because I used to live near them and I had to look at them out my window every day. They designed one of these, which isn't a particularly noteworthy design, and then they thought, you know what? I think we need 3 more of these. And without fail, whenever I open up apartments.com, presidential towers are the first thing that comes up on a search, probably because they have hundreds of units vacant at any given time. Back when I lived in West Loop, I watched them painstakingly paint the towers, and it didn't really look any better afterward. Now let's head back to River North to the Westin Chicago, which is actually a 4-star hotel. Along the river, you've got icon after icon of buildings. Then there's this thing, which is like some building's little cousin that somehow ended up tagging along. When I toured an apartment at Marina City, this building was very in view from the balcony, which definitely did not make me excited to live there. Now, last but certainly not least, right across the street, you can get to a monstrosity known as 55 West Wacker Drive. It's hard to put into words how this building makes me feel. It would definitely not feel out of place in a soulless suburban office park. It just seems like the sort of building you walk into that makes it feel like your soul is screaming. It actually used to be known as the Blue Cross Blue Shield building, but I guess with health insurance having such a bad reputation, they didn't want to stain it any worse by associating themselves with 55 West Wacker. So those are my picks for the skid marks on Chicago's Skyline. Let me know in the comments if you have any other picks that make you nauseous. Thanks for watching.